Treasurex, Mr. Treasurex Melkwa, Mr. Pranav Sirivasta, Mr. Harsha Fernando, President's Council, and our moderator for the day, Mr. Sehan Souza, State Counsel of the Attorney General's Department. I now hand over the reins to the moderator of the day to take off today's proceedings.
I think the lawyers worked late until last night, sir. I think they were working until 2:30, so they are really tired. And they are spirituous. So they are spirituous. But however, to begin everything, shall we have a few question rounds? Of the people who are here, does anybody use the following? If they use, please raise your hand. Okay? First, ChatGPT paid version. Is there anybody here? We have the chairman using it. Awesome. And there's another lady as well, I think. Okay, they're there. What about Perplexity Pro? Okay, there is one there. Awesome. So then, how about Grammarly? The chairman. Good, good, good. And what about Grok? Gemini? Nobody. Okay. So, there are already people who are using AI. We live in an age where things are going to change very soon. Now, I have an intern. When I ask my intern to give me some research, she brings me a research. Then, when I ask something from AI, the output is much better. And I have how would you say, a story to say, a real story about how I used AI last week so that you can understand what AI can do. So, can we have that? Now, with Justice Nawas, I used to do some tax matters, but now tax is at another level. Because of the new taxation statutes, there will be so much tax cases. Already, I have 50 to 60. Now, last week, I had a problem. There was a case called, a rule called thin capitalization. Is there anybody here who knows this? So, thin capitalization, or the rationale behind is to ensure that a company will not reduce its reserves to a level where the company does not pay taxes. I didn't know about it. So what? Now, but I had to go to court and I had to argue a matter. If you see, it showed me what thin capitalization is. But more than that, it gave me a case law reference. If you see, CA Tax 008-2015. This is not a fictitious case. This is an actual case. And it showed me the link as well. You can go home and find out whether this case is there or not. And also, if you go down, you will see how complicated this rule is. It has debt to equity ratios, 3 to 1, 4 to 1 for manufacturing companies. I think Pranav would understand this much better. But however, when things are complicated, sometimes having AI is helpful. So, with this, although on the other side, I had a lawyer of 25 years of tax experience, he did not have this tool. And I had an undue advantage in that. That is why I think this session is so important, and kudos to the organizing committee for including this. Now the theme of this conference is mentorship. With that, let's go into this session. I will first call upon one of my mentors in the Attorney General's Department before His Lordship went to the Supreme Court. His Lordship, when he was in the department, used to show me how I could do things better, and still he does. That is mentorship, because we want constructive feedback so that we can improve. Our aim should be to improve at least a bit every day. In that, I had the pleasure of calling a justice who is also academically inclined. His lordship has 3 masters as well. And now, just like you, I'm eagerly anticipating what his lordship is going to tell us today about AI. Let us all welcome Justice Nawas.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished panel. Of course, my mentee, Jan Soiza, he credits me with mentoring him even now, because when you have a personal relationship sometimes with a counsel, you tend to speak to them, even on cases, of course, after the cases are over, not during the course of the case. So when he lost out in a case recently, I showed him as to why I took that contrary decision. So these are interactive sessions that we do have. Thank you very much. You are doing well, and it's indeed my honor to be invited to this all-important topic, AI in the practice of the law. I would approach this question in a different way as to how AI has virtually stormed our courts, stormed our practice, and today we live in the midst of AI. It's whenever innovation takes over humankind, it so happens that we become resistant. Go back to the days when in 1950, calculators became vogue, they became fashionable, but there was this British judge called Lord Goddard. He virtually banned it. He said, if you wish to calculate, use your human mind. I don't think machines could be as accurate as human mind. Justice demands human mind, and therefore you can't use contraptions, machines. This was Lord Goddard long time ago. So innovations are always disruptive. It overturns the practices that we indulge in traditionally. Now when it overturns, sometimes it has got its benefits, sometimes it has got its dangerous consequences. Now, if you look at another invention, I always look at it, say for instance, it's a coffee machine. We love it. It brings us benefits. And smartphones revolutionized our landlines. Emails disrupted in a good way, beneficially, and replaced our postal mails. So innovations do overcome old methods and traditions and then overwhelm all of us. It is how artificial intelligence today has become the norm in our legal practice. I would approach this in 2 ways. If you look at it, the gamut of our practice, you can bifurcate it into 2 areas. One is the transactional practice, where you do transactions and computers, internets, and AI make it so easy. Another area is the legal practice, legal-centric practice. In other words, litigation-centric practice. If you take both of them side by side, AI impacts them differently. That distinction, the distinction between transactional practice and litigation-centric practice takes me back to that distinction between functional AI and generative AI. I will explain that. Now, if you look at functional AI, a famous example comes to my mind. Now, there is niche classification, if you have heard of that. Modern IP officers have in their office a big document running into pages. If you want to register your trademark, they have so many classes. And you have got to describe your product, your goods and services in that particular cage and then make your application to classify it under a particular class. When you do that, when you do it manually, it's such a tedious process. Today, the niche classification becomes quite easy in IPR offices when they run that application in AI. AI immediately does the function of classifying it under the particular class. It is so efficient. That is called functional AI. It doesn't create anything. You give the data, you give the existing data, it just processes that and then puts it into the distinct sockets. It does a basic function. Because of that, it was called the functional AI. Now you can see that in our daily life. If you have a bank account which is operable on your machine, on your phone, you would have fed your facial recognition into that phone. It would have studied your features. And when you try to enter your details and try to go into an account, it recognizes you with a facial recognition and then immediately it takes you in. If somebody else tries to do that, it will refuse to let him in because his features are different from yours. So that is also a functional AI. Now today, this functional AI operates very well in legal practice. You could see that in the case of contract review, you can see how conveyances, such as notaries, how they transact business. Now there are modern conveyancing AI models where you just feed in the names, the vendor, vendee, the boundaries. It just produces a beautifully drafted sale agreement. So it's a functional model. On the existing data which you feed in, it produces the standard form. But sometimes the lawyers today, I must remind you, the lawyers today have not, some of the lawyers have not adapted to functional AI, so much so that it causes problems in litigation. Recently, I had to decide a case where there was a conflict between the first part of the deed and the attestation clause which was found in the last part of the deed. The last part of the deed said that consideration for the sale had been paid previously. But the first part of the deed said consideration passed between the parties as if it passed at the time of the execution of the deed. There was this contradiction because the lawyer had just made up his deed on this contraption on his computer, and because the lawyers do not scrutinize them, there was a contradiction between the first part and the second part. How did I overcome that? Because I had to virtually, so one part says it was paid, another part said it was previously paid. It was quite clear, another party said it was not paid. So oral evidence and documentary evidence had to be reconciled. And if you read the court reporter, these cases, they are published where I reconcile these two positions. But I recognized that if functional AI had been used, if data had been fed in, that payment was made on such date, the deed would have been a fantastic deed, easy for resolution of the dispute. And so we must now embrace this functional AI technology, which is still prevalent in our practice. The problem arises, as I see, only in litigation-centric AI. So I must state the problem first. Victoria Sharp, a famous judge in the High Court of England, recently delivered a judgment. The judgment, I can give you the reference. Of course, there was this problem in doing my PowerPoint presentation, but then I can give you the reference in a beautifully crafted judgment. The case is Avinde, right, or Ayunde, A-Y-U-N-D versus, yes, it'll be shared, right. In that judgment, she makes a reference to one of those seminal cases where AI caused problems in litigation-centric practice. She cites the case of Mata, M-A-T-A, versus Avinka. Right? In that case, two lawyers were sanctioned. Both of them had cited fictitious cases attributed to two existing judges. But those two judges found that those two cases were never delivered by them. So that was the seminal case in the US, and she makes reference to that case in the case which she dealt with in the recent case in the UK, in the High Court, and then she advocates certain measures which the President of the Bar Association, who is present here today, should take cognizance of. She makes this allegation, or rather makes this complaint that today AI is not regulated so much. So there is a bounden duty on the part of the Bar Association, Bar Council, and other places, regulatory bodies, to regulate the use of AI in research. Now, in this case as well, there was wrong references given. Non-existent cases were put before the judges, and she complains that such practices must be eliminated, and one way of eliminating them is by having standards of practice. Because we have a duty towards court, you have a duty towards client. So when you have that duty, definitely breaches occur and it raises ethical considerations. When you cite fictitious cases before judges, and sometimes judges tend to include them, right? And there was this Indian tax appeal recently, which I came across. In one of those cases, the Indian Tax Tribunal had produced its judgment, put it on the website, and they realized after it was uploaded that the judgment contained fictitious cases. Possibly the culprits were the lawyers, so they had to withdraw the judgment. Judgment was vitiated, and then and the lawyers were reprimanded in Delhi. So these are some of those pernicious practices that have crept into AI, when AI could be beautifully crafted and made use of in our practice. So now, come to Singapore. Even in Singapore recently, there are two cases. I can give you those two cases. In one case, a lawyer was fined 800 Singapore dollars, short of contempt, and that lawyer lost his practice. And 2025, another development, again the same thing has occurred. The lawyers produced briefs which was never there. The other side lawyer, the opponent, pointed it out, and what really happened was shocking, because the senior lawyer, under whose name the brief was put before the judges, had a cop-out. He said, "It is my junior who did this, and I have nothing to do with this." But the court pointed out to him, as a senior, you had an oversight, you had a supervisory role over this junior, and you failed in that. And finally, that senior apologized to court, and that particular firm is also in the doldrums today. Now see the impact that this kind of practices, this kind of unethical considerations can have in our legal practice. And the courts are now taking cognizance of all these, and in the absence of regulations by the Bar Council, the courts are now regulating this conduct. So I would suggest, Mr. President, who are welcome, right, you should, based on these guidelines that have been promulgated, it's better for these guidelines to be publicized. Yes, it has got to be publicly available, and let this be the standard that should be set down for the future generation, the future lawyers, particularly junior lawyers, who have got to bear this in our mind. Because generative AI, which I contrasted with functional AI, is dangerous sometimes. And one has to make a distinction between generative AI assisted work and generative AI created work. Now say, for instance, if you generate something from your AI model, it might reproduce the exact training material on which it has been trained. That is why the New York Times is suing various AI models, saying that what was beyond the pay wall has been copied by OpenAI, and they have used it to train their machines or their systems. As a result, when you go and ask AI when you prompt, produce an article, just like Shakespeare would do, or just like Martin Wickramasinghe would do, it would produce the exact work. And you know very well, if the work that is outputted is substantially similar to an existing work, then there is copyright infringement that takes place. But if you get that output, but if you work on it, if you modify it, if you keep on reforming it, then it may cease to be a copyright infringement, because the infringing may not have taken place because the ideas, it all depends on the expression. It all turns on the idea-expression dichotomy. That's on that aspect of, on that expression. I'm running out of time. So this is the pernicious and destructive practice that takes place today. So we must take steps to eliminate them in the future with regulations and with, it won't be long before a Sri Lankan court says soon in one of its judgments that we have found fictitious cases in the written submissions. I have so much to say, but then thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I think sir ended with a small warning that His Lordship ended with a small warning that if you use fictitious judgments, His Lordship might pronounce a judgment. So be careful of that. So I must thank His Lordship for that brilliant speech. Next, I wish to, now I said about mentorship. The second aspect of mentorship that I will go to talk about is, in the future, all of us will need mentors who are conversant with AI, who will show us how to use AI. In that context, I brought my personal AI mentor, Mr. Treasurex Melkoy, to introduce what you can and what AI can do and what it can't do, so that all of us know what we can use it for and what we should not use it for. So my personal AI mentor, Mr. Melkoy, is up to you.
Lordship, Justices, Mr. President, the legal fraternity, I would say, distinguished panel. Good morning, all of you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. In the interest of time, I have a prepared speech so that I don't run out of time. And Shehan was very particular about time. So I said, okay, the best thing is to have a prepared speech. So I'm not a lawyer by profession. I'm a business person. But I happened to watch a movie recently, A Time to Kill. It was one of the most popular movies on Netflix, and I happened to watch that. Now, I am an AI integration consultant working with many organizations. I work with them in upskilling their staff with regard to AI literacy, and also integrating AI in their workflows. So that is what I do. Now, I was watching this movie, Time to Kill, right? So, and I was thinking, now before I tell you what I was thinking, right? So when we talk about the future of the legal profession, so we often hear this question, very anxious question: will AI replace lawyers? Will AI replace lawyers? Has that question ever popped up into your mind? Well, to answer that, so let's go back to this movie, A Time to Kill. So in the movie, in this particular movie, and I think you should watch that movie, I think every lawyer should watch that movie, we see a young lawyer, Jake Briggins. He's defending Carl Lee Haley, a black father who actually kills the men who raped his 10-year-old daughter. So now on the surface, it is a legal thriller, but underneath, it is a study of what law really is when stripped of the Latin and the leather-bound volumes. Human pain, human bias, human courage. Think of the crucial moment in that courtroom. Jake stands to give his closing argument. He does not recite law case at the jury. Instead, he tells a story. He walks the jury step by step through the horror that Carl Lee's daughter had to go through, endured. And then he asks them, he pauses, right? And that's the moment, he pauses. After dramatically explaining what she had gone through, and you should watch that, right? He pauses, gets them to think, and he says, imagine. After the word imagine, I thought he's about to say, imagine this girl is your daughter. No, that is not what he said. He said, imagine that the child was white. Because that was the issue. Right? Racial prejudice. Imagine. And that was like, amazing. The verdict was in favor of the accused. Carl Lee was, not, I don't know what the legal term, acquitted, was acquitted. Okay, then, so that moment, is not about legal text for me as a non-legal layman. It is about moral imagination. So Jake is not just applying rules, he is forcing the jury to confront their own prejudice and to see a black child as deserving of the same protection and dignity as a white child. So the law in that instant is not a cold system. It is a living conversation about justice. That's what I saw in the movie. And then I am thinking, I'm just seated there and thinking, because I spend more than 8 hours a day with AI. And I'm just seated there and I'm thinking, after the movie is over, could an AI system do this? No, no chance. No chance. So, AI can search every case ever decided. It can draft contracts. It can flag risks. It can summarize evidence. And it can do so many things. It can do things faster, cheaper, and in many cases, far better than humans. More accurate, faster. But in this movie, A Time to Kill, the decisive force is not analytical power. That's what I understood. It was empathy, moral judgment, and the willingness to stand alone in a courtroom full of prejudice, anger, and fear. So this brings us to a crucial competency we need to talk about: AI literacy. Right? If AI will not replace human lawyers, my point, if AI will not replace human lawyers, then the real risk is that AI literate lawyers will replace AI illiterate lawyers. That's a fact. I strongly believe in that. Some may disagree, but we can debate. So how do we navigate this challenge? How do we navigate it? Lawyers need AI literacy. So what is AI? So it's a work in understanding of what these systems, these AI systems, can and cannot do, how they are built, and where they can go wrong. So you need to be aware of these things. That is AI literacy. Now, AI literacy in the legal profession means at least two things. First, it is about competent use. What do you mean by competent use? So lawyers must know how to use AI tools to search, draft, summarize and analyze without outsourcing their judgment. So that includes understanding that AI can hallucinate. Now this is important. You need to understand this, right? And that is why we heard in the previous speech where people come up with fictitious law cases, right? So AI can hallucinate or misinterpret. And that confidential information must be handled with extreme care. Speed does not equal reliability. So these are some of the things. So a lawyer who does not understand these limitations can become a risk to their own client. Second, AI literacy is about seeing the hidden biases. You see, we must learn to ask what data trained this AI model? Because AI models are trained using data. So what data were they trained on? Whose reality does it represent? And what are the possible biases that these models can possibly inherit? If an AI system makes a recommendation, who is accountable when it harms somebody? You. Not the AI system. So in other words, you will have to learn to cross-examine algorithms and AI outputs. That's a new skill you will have to learn. Not in the court, right? But in your own office. So when we talk about AI in law, the choice is not between human lawyer and AI system. The real choice is between lawyers who understand AI well enough to use it, question it, and constrain it. And lawyers who treat AI like magic. That's the competition there. So the lesson from Time to Kill, the movie, is not that emotions beat logic. It is that justice needs both clear reasoning and deep humanity. AI literacy can help us achieve that balance efficiently. It allows us to harness powerful tools without surrendering the human core of the profession, which is empathy, morale, courage and responsibility. So yes, AI will not replace human lawyers, for sure, but lawyers who embrace AI literacy, who can stand in a courtroom fully fluent in both the language of the law and the language of AI, they will define the future of justice. In A Time to Kill, the system does not magically deliver a just outcome. People fight for it. Today, AI will not magically deliver fairer, faster, more human law. We will have to build that through AI literacy, through discipline, use of these tools, and through an unwavering commitment to human judgment. So my invitation to you is simple. Embrace the technology, learn its language, guide AI with human intelligence, but never surrender what is inherently human to a machine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melka. So I think the undisputable message is, be human. AI can do its own work, but at the end of the day, we appear before judges like Justice Nawas, who understand much better about the realities of work. So as lawyers, we have to present our case from a human-centric viewpoint. Otherwise, despite having all the best AI in the world, we will never get what we want, in quotes. So with that, now we are going across the seas to the big brother. I have been meeting several Indian colleagues, and they are far ahead of us with AI and technology. If we don't also match up, we'll fall behind. In that context, we have an expert from the International Bar Association, the incoming co-chair of the Young Lawyers Committee, who has, according to what I was told, for the last 2 years, they have been studying basically about what? Any guesses? For the last 2 years? Any guess? Come on, it's a topic, right? AI. So may I call Mr. Pranav to come and educate us as to what's happening across the jurisdiction.
Sri Lanka never ceases to surprise. I think we have Justice Nawas here talking about generative AI, the difference between functional AI and generative AI. He distinguished between AI-assisted work and AI-generated work, and we have a bunch of young lawyers sitting here. I think there were only a few hands when you asked who uses ChatGPT. So maybe, I mean, either you don't use it or you're still functioning in the stratosphere after the party last night. So, so let me ask all of you, how many of you use AI for doing your legal work? Okay? And how many of you have, by using AI, actually made your work more efficient, reduced the time that you take in accomplishing the work, increased your revenues? And how many of you will not raise your hands no matter what I say? Well, I think, can I have the clicker? Yeah, thanks. We've been debating, as was mentioned, I think we've been debating this topic. I guess it is the most debated topic anywhere in the world, in any industry, but more so in the legal industry. And we at the International Bar Association have been debating this topic for last 2 years. The last time I was in Sri Lanka was about 13 years ago, when I was a young lawyer like you. I'm still going to be the chair of the Young Lawyers Committee, but unfortunately not that young anymore. But if given a chance, I would have loved to be a young lawyer in the present day and age, because I think it's the most exciting time. It's that time of the history where there is either an existential crisis or the greatest opportunity for the human mankind, and especially for the legal fraternity. So one thing I think we've reached a conclusion on, and there were lots of debates and discussions around whether AI will be useful, whether it will be used for doing work. I think we've reached conclusion on at least this much, that I think it is an inevitable AI invasion. So AI will change, it has already changed what we do, it will completely change what we do in the year or two to come. So we did a IBA 2024 report, The Future is Now, Artificial Intelligence and the Legal Profession. We interviewed 333 global law firms, out of which 210 law firms reported using AI in their operations. And this report was done in the month of March 2024. We are already in end of 2025. So this adoption would be far greater. There is a survey underway. I don't have the results right now, but my suspicion is that this number is going to be vastly different after 1.5 years since we did this report. This was 2024 March. For the firms with over 500 lawyers, and when I say firms with over 500 lawyers, these are the Magic Circle firms of the United Kingdom, these are the white shoe firms of the US, and the biggest law firms, international law firms in the world. There was 100% reported implementation of AI in their workflow. And when I say workflow, and that's why I asked you that question in the beginning, how many of you have actually made your processes more efficient by using AI? It's not just about using AI, because a lot of us will go to AI to ask a short legal question, but are you automating your legal processes to make your work more efficient, more accurate, more precise, more revenue generating, more beneficial for your clients? All law firms with over 500 lawyers have done that. What are they using AI for? They are using AI for legal research. They are using it for document assembly, contract drafting, due diligence, discovery for litigation cases. Not only for legal work execution, but also for their brand building and marketing strategy. They use it for drafting their newsletters. They use it for social media posts. They use it for conference support. They use it for searching marketing targets, searching who they should go and meet, where the work will be generated, what is their target audience. So for all of that, international law firms are using, these are some things that international law firms have done. Allen & Overy, which is one of the pioneer law firm in AI adoption, which is now called A&O Sherman after merger with Sherman and Sterling. They adopted a ChatGPT style legal AI assistant across their 3,500 lawyers in 43 jurisdictions. So they are actively using AI in their daily workflow. They train their lawyers to use the AI assistant. They use it to actually achieve efficiency and accuracy for their clients and revenue for the firm. Again, A&O Sherman and Harvey AI have currently partnered to roll out an agentic multi-step reasoning AI agent for complex workflows like AI antitrust filings, fund formation, loan documentation review. Cleary Gottlieb, which is again a large international firm, has acquired a London-based legal tech AI company called Springbok AI, which has 10 data scientists and engineers to develop their bespoke AI tools in-house. See, the reason I'm talking about these firms, Allen & Overy, A&O Sherman, which is Allen & Overy, Cleary Gottlieb, is because these firms are the ones who predict the future of legal services. They are the best. They are at the top of what legal services are, and they predict where the legal profession is going to go. And when a Cleary Gottlieb purchases an legal tech AI company based out of London, it clearly shows how seriously they are taking AI as the future of legal services. Ropes & Gray, which is a US firm, is giving their first-year associates the option to spend up to 20% of their billable hour requirements exploring AI tools. When a US firm does this, it means something because they are very serious about monetizing each and every billable hour of their lawyers. And they are allowing the lawyers to use 20% of their billable hours in learning AI. And then again, there are large corporate clients. I think we've seen it in our practice in India as well. And I'm not sure what your experience in Sri Lanka, but we've seen that our clients are coming to us and now telling us to tell them how we have in our fee proposals, how in our scope of work, we have built in AI efficiencies. So if we have not done that, there will be clients in the future who will come to you, and when you will give them a fee quote, they will say, have you built in AI efficiency in this? And if you're not using AI, there's a problem. So using AI is not a problem. Not using it, one, is certainly going to be a problem. We have clients who would send us now contracts drafted using AI, and they ask us to review and provide comments. They don't want us to draft a contract from scratch because they know that a contract can be drafted, a basic version can be drafted by AI. So we are all looking at AI efficiency being built in as an expectation from the client itself. It's not going to be a choice that we will have, it is going to be a mandate. But it's not so bad, and we'll discuss that in the presentation later. Resisting the unfamiliar, and I think we've discussed this earlier during the conversation today. Whenever there is a change, whenever there is a new innovation that gets introduced, there is resistance. There is resistance to electric vehicles. There is resistance to there was resistance to aeroplanes. There was resistance to all the new technologies that came in from time to time, and there is a lot of resistance to AI. And as I said, the stalwarts in the legal profession, the biggest law firms in the world, are not resisting, they are embracing. But the resistance is seen more in smaller firms, it's seen more in developing countries, it's seen more in Asia. It seems that in the Western world they are far ahead of adopting AI. But why is this resistance? What are the different arguments that people take to resist adoption of AI? Many just deny it. AI, never heard of it. And that's why I said I'm so surprised, pleasantly surprised with Justice Nawas talking about the difference between functional AI and generative AI. Others would say, I'm ashamed to admit I used AI. This is how many feel. In law firms even today, people will use AI, but they don't want to say it out loud. They don't want to admit that they used it. And it happens at all levels. Juniors don't want to admit in front of their seniors because they think that the seniors will think that they are adding less value. The seniors don't want to admit it that they used AI, and that is again resulting in a spiraling, a cyclical effect amongst juniors and seniors, or not admitting that they are using AI, even though they may actually be using AI in their workflows. The next one is that, there are many senior lawyers, I haven't seen that resistance here in Sri Lanka, but there are many senior lawyers who feel that they've spent so many years of doing things a certain way, and they're not very comfortable with the idea that the next generation is going to have it easier. They're not very comfortable with the idea that things that they spent so much time learning, the next generation will be able to do it so much more quickly and easily. For example, we learned drafting clauses with a lot of, giving it a lot of time and effort. Now you don't need to learn to draft a clause, you need to learn to draft a prompt to prompt an AI to draft that clause for you. So it's different. It's going to be easier. It's going to make our lives much better. And will allow us to focus on more core lawyer skills, which unfortunately there was a lot of noise around, and all that noise the older generations of lawyers had to go through, which the younger generations, and that's why I said in the beginning that this is the best time to be a young lawyer, and I wish this was the time when I was starting out. So we have NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang joining us from Silicon Valley now. I mean, just a video.
If you're not engaging AI actively and aggressively, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. Your company is not going to go out of business because of AI. Your company is going to go out of business because another company uses AI. There's no question about that. And so you have to engage AI as quickly as possible.
I think the message is clear from the person who's powering most of the AI in the world. If you don't use AI today, someone else will use it, and I think again it was said earlier in the presentation, AI will not replace lawyers, but lawyers who use AI will definitely replace lawyers who don't use AI. Well, this is what we need to know about using AI and how AI is used, and again it was mentioned, I think Justice Nawaz also differentiated between AI generated product or AI generated outcome versus an AI assisted outcome. I think what we have to focus on is an AI assisted outcome, and a lot of times people ask that question, and the question was asked earlier also, that will AI replace lawyers? No, it will never replace lawyers. The reason for that, and I'll give you an example, if you are suffering from an ailment, you type out your ailment on ChatGPT, it will give you a medical solution to the problem. But will you use that to treat yourself? You will not use that to treat yourself, because while you know that that output information can be provided to you by an AI platform, you won't trust that AI platform. You will need an advice from a medical professional. You don't mind the medical professional using AI to make his or her processes more efficient, but you will not take that advice directly from an AI platform. It will work the same way for lawyers. Clients will take that advice from lawyers, and the lawyers will be the ones using AI to make the processes more efficient. So Harvard Business School conducted a study in 2023. Humans using GPT-4, now we are at 5.1 or something, performed 40% better than those without AI. Best results came from humans who guided AI, not obeyed it. So 40% efficiencies were discovered by Harvard Business School study in 2023. Stanford and MIT conducted similar studies where they saw that AI-assisted professionals work 14% faster and produce 35% higher quality output than human-only teams. Thomson Reuters conducted a similar study for lawyers. This is specifically for lawyers. Lawyers using AI research tools were 25 to 35% faster while maintaining accuracy. Those who accepted AI output without legal reasoning or review often introduced errors. I think the message is that you have to have an AI-assisted legal services, not legal services by AI. I don't know if you've heard of this term called the Centaur model. Centaur is a fictional character which is half horse at the bottom and human on the top. So it's faster, it's more efficient because it has the legs of a horse. So the Centaur model was developed by Garry Kasparov, who was one of the the world's grandmaster chess in 1998 or 1997 against the IBM's advanced chess model. He lost the chess match, and then he started experimenting, where he started putting an advanced chess model on one hand along with a human assistance, and on the other side he started putting advanced chess models or humans at a time. And it was discovered that invariably the advanced chess models, when assisted by humans, always won the match. In fact, the reason for that was what they discovered was that humans were providing context, creativity and strategy, while the AI offered tactical precision and exhaustive search. So for exhaustive search, for tactical precision, use AI. But for creativity, for strategy and context, in all professions, the respective professionals and legal profession, the lawyers will continue to provide context, creativity and strategy. There was one famous 2005 tournament which saw 2 amateur players. So these are not the grandmasters, these were just amateur players. They used average chess softwares, again not the best advanced models, very average chess softwares, and they beat both grandmasters as well as top AI engines. So that shows the power of putting human intellect along with AI assistance, and that's assisted, that will be the assisted legal services for our industry. So what should you do as young lawyers? I mean, and I think it is very critical, because if you don't do this today, if you don't start doing it right now, if you're not already doing it, I think in a few years' time, in a couple of years, I won't even say few years' time, maybe 6 months to 1 year time, you may be left behind by a lot of other people who are actively doing these things. First is adopt a co-pilot mindset, not a competitor mindset. AI is not a competitor. AI is your co-pilot. AI is your assistance tool. Treat it like an intern. Let him do the work. That's very useful for you, but you double check their work to make sure that it's accurate. You need to learn prompt engineering. It's like the modern day legal drafting. You have to treat prompts like you are drafting clauses or you're drafting pleadings, which have to be clear, precise, and contextual. So the context matters, precision matters, clarity matters. If you don't provide that to AI, you will never get the precise output from AI. The better your instructions, the better your results. In a few years, prompting will be like a legal skill as common as legal research. So if you don't know prompting, you will find law firms in 2 years, 3 years time asking freshers how well they know drafting prompts. And if they don't know how to draft prompts, they may not get hired in law firms. So you will, the law schools need to learn about it, and I think the president of the bar is here. I think you would be working with law schools in Sri Lanka on legal education. I think it's very important for law schools also to start teaching students on how to engineer AI prompts very early on. I think it should become, I would say not even an elective, but a mandatory subject for students to learn how to draft AI prompts, how to use AI to do legal work. I think it's going to be a necessity and not an option. So I'm running out of time, but just a couple of last things. So again, stay curious. What is also very important is that there are certain non-automatable skills like interpersonal skills, judgments and empathy, which still require human involvement and a human edge. For example, for all the corporate lawyers here, I mean, like Harvey Specter used to say that he's the best closer in the city. So closing the deal, reading the pulse of the situation, being able to negotiate, reading the pulse of the judge in the courtroom. And I'll end this with this short video. So be the best closer, not the best logger. Use AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pranav. Now, So we save the best for last, I guess. Now I'm going to call upon an eminent President's Council, but before that, I got a request today, and when I went through the profile, I saw a certain thing. Can we show that? He had shared this. His eminent President's Council has shared this, so I thought we'll share this also with you. Technology is not showing us that. It's not going to come too bad. Can we? Oh. Yeah. So but too bad. Maybe after the presentation we'll show it again. Okay, there it is. So, your time on earth is limited. Don't try and age with grace. Age with mischief, audacity, and a damn good story to tell. So I call upon Mr. Fernando, President's Council, to tell us a damn good story.
Your Lordship, eminent members of the panel, dear friends and Shan, thank you for that lovely introduction. I've been given the very difficult task of trying to bring it all together. And how do you bring mentorship and AI together is going to be difficult. You wanted a good story. Maybe I'll tell you two stories to begin with. One of the former speakers asked whether AI will replace lawyers. My question is, should AI replace lawyers? Because when you are a senior and you employ many juniors under you, you ask two questions all the time. How can I use AI to replace my juniors? And how do I make sure that my clients don't replace me because of AI? So it's a pressure on both sides. But here's a story that got me really worried. About 6-7 months ago, I had an intern from one of the universities who came and worked with me for a few months. So I gave him a statute, and I said, I want you to analyze this statute and come up with some strategic reasons as to why this statute must have been on the books. And I had to go for a meeting, come back 2 hours later, he's still staring at the statute. I said, what the hell are you doing? He said, I'm reading it. I said, can I see you're reading what you've been reading for the last 2 years? Where's your note? Then he said, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know what to do. I said, you have finished your law and your internship. I've always used AI for this kind of work, and I can't think without AI. Well, that scared the hell out of me, and it should scare the hell out of you too. Right? Now that's the difference I think His Lordship also tried to make, and all the other speakers emphasized between assisted AI and generative AI. Everybody was asked different questions. Here's a question to you, and this phrase came out. How many of you at least looked at or read a book or article or anything on prompt engineering? Anybody? Okay, there is one gentleman. Because that's one skill you need to learn. But having said that, I think Mr. Travelex kind of took my presentation away, so I need to rush it in a way. I think we are both subscribed to the same type of AI platforms, I guess. So anyway, because of the challenge that Ruben and his very able committee gave me, I'm going to emphasize a few things in trying to build connect what you all did 2 days ago, not last night, with what we are discussing today. So basically, I have titled my presentation as My Learned Friend. I'll tell you why in a short while. But let me go to the next slide. This works? So this is what I'm supposed to do. I'll just recap what you all probably would have done these couple of days. We start with mentoring. The birds are supposed to represent you, not in the colloquial sense, but this is what you find in the canteen, right? The happy one, the guiding one. But basically, what is peer mentoring? I'm very glad that the junior bar took it, because in the legal profession, it's very hierarchical, but actually it's very secular. That's where you learn from each other. I don't need to delve into too much. You would have gone through it for a couple of days. Then you would have got the definition of inclusivity. How do you feel that you are respected, valued, heard, represented, and psychologically safe and equipped to succeed, regardless of your gender, your background, where you come from, all those things. And legal profession is not the place that provides it. Although we are supposed to fight for justice, we are still not the place that provides this. We are certainly not the poster boy for inclusivity. But I hope during the last 2 days you had a good chance, and you probably will start looking at each other in a very different light, at least those who came for this conference. Then we come to this thing called artificial intelligence. Right? Now, I have no idea whether anybody has really figured it out, not even Sam Altman, because it's developing. So I won't even try to give a definition, but in my very lawyer, non-technical way, it's a system that mimics or augments human cognitive processes, okay? But I would like to share this presentation. This is not something that I found for this conference, a presentation that I did in London some time ago, but I think it's very interesting.
Is Joshua Browder, the CEO of a startup called Do Not Pay. He says he's on a mission to create the world's first AI-powered attorney.
The legal industry is David versus Goliath, so we want to be David. Unfortunately, it's pay to play, so the people with the most money typically win in court cases, but software can level the playing field.
At a fraction of the cost of a human lawyer, Browder says he's able to use the software to help everyday Americans battle legal issues, such as traffic tickets and evictions. So far, he says his company has helped in more than 1.5 million cases and saved his clients millions of dollars.
So we're going to sue the company at the press of a button.
To show us how his technology works, Browder entered a hypothetical case on his Do Not Pay website of a client who was looking for an attorney to help them get reimbursed for a canceled flight.
So the robot wants to gather as much evidence to make your case as strong as possible. So it asks things like dates or photographs.
We wait about 30 seconds and then it generates a legal demand letter.
So just like that, it mentions all of the laws of the local state.
The system then automatically sends the letter to the airline. For now, Do Not Pay can generate legal letters, lawsuits, and other routine court documents. But Browder says this is just the beginning. For the past year, Browder has been planning to take the technology one step further, using AI to represent a client in a courtroom for the first time in history.
They're going to put on AirPods and the AI will be whispering in their ear. It will listen to the court hearing, process what's going on, and then whisper very quickly back what to say.
But his plan sparked back.
Yeah, so who fought back was the Bar Association. They said, no, we are not going to allow that. So that's why I asked the question, should AI replace these things? But this is the future, guys. I would recommend that you actually start looking for another job. But since it's a little too late, I think we have to embrace AI. Now, the specific question that I'm asked to answer today is, how do you bring that into mentorship? And that's exactly what I'm trying to do through this next slide. And this is very much for those who are subscribing to the traditional role that we play as players in the justice system. The people who want to fight for justice through the traditional form of going to court. So it's not the transactional law part that I'm looking at, but more the litigation law part. Now here, the question comes to you is, you will think, I don't need my senior, I don't need my colleagues, I can learn it all from AI. In a way, you're right. Because the technology is changing so fast that no senior can actually guide you, because the change is so fast. The knowledge that somebody builds up over time becomes irrelevant, because the technology is so fast and you guys are the ones who are in the technology, and actually you can advise us. I don't consider myself a senior, but let's go with the flow. Okay? So then the question is, if you're going to start thinking about this new toy, AI, and all its glory or whatever that you call it, would you consider yourself as, I don't need the rest of the opportunities that the practice or the profession offers to me? Can I do it on my own? Can I replace all my juniors and completely do my chamber work on AI models? I can see Ruhen is smiling. My work involves crunching large numbers of documents for research. And those days what we used to do was I used to divide the work among the juniors, Ruhen included, and each person would study each section, the sections of the documents, and we discussed. Now I got notebook LM. So last week I had to go overseas for some work. Those days the juniors would work till about 10 in the night. I told everybody not to come because I just need to work on my computer. I took notebook LM, I got all the research I needed. So if somebody tells you to learn AI and bring it to the firm, be careful. It might be a bit of a self-cannibalizing exercise. Okay? But the question then is, how do you use this new technology to make yourself better? So I put it under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 categories just for you to know the difference. You see, the first question we need to ask is why we exist. If you answer that question, basically how we get our intelligence, how much do you learn from each other and how much do you learn from AI? Is there a difference in what you learn and the way you learn? The war stories, the chats you hear over a cup of tea in the canteen, the stories that your senior tells you when he's absolutely bored and his wife doesn't talk to you. What can you learn from that? You see, we bring as humans what we call tacit knowledge and sort of reasoning that is essential for a lawyer. But what AI does is pattern recognition. Somebody else put it there. You must study the architecture of the LLM, large language model. Because for example, if you get a LT case where the company comes and says, we didn't take her because our AI didn't select her CV. Can you challenge the company on the basis saying that your AI model is discriminating against women or discriminating against a particular ethnic category? Will you understand the nature of the AI architecture to challenge that company? Because the company will come and say it's not a human decision. The machine did it. But still there is justice issue, there is liability issue. So like that, how do you learn from mistakes? Mistakes are the greatest learning opportunities. We learn from our mistakes through reflection. But what AI does is minimize the mistake. It's pattern recognition. We are based on values and morals. AI is on basically data, ethics. Morals is a bit of a constraint on AI. What makes us tick? What makes you want to do what you do? If you can answer that question, you will realize the enormous amount of information you can learn from each other. You don't need a huge chamber, you don't need a senior. So basically, connecting, as Ruhen asked me, to mentorship in motion and AI. Delightfully human, occasionally confused, morally aspirational, basically a fancy way of saying lawyers learn by messing up, reflecting and pretending it was all part of the strategy. Okay? Basic point is, I learn because we talk. But if you use AI, you're faster than a junior on caffeine but does not understand context, nuance, or why someone in court would suddenly cry, I learn because I process. Now the question is, where does this all come to my topic? My learned friend. We all use that word in court, that phrase in court. A very old quote, 300-400 years old, that is the greatest invention that the lawyers made and the greatest contribution we made for passive aggression in diplomacy. But if you really unpack that statement, when you say, my learned friend, you're saying, I'm going to learn from you. When steel is knocked against steel, it becomes sharper. I disagree with you, but I'll still learn from you. I believe the junior bar, mentorship in motion, that's the kind of principle that you are looking at. Now, if you compare that with learning from an AI-based learning module, how much can you get it? Right? We are part of a profession that I call ethics of adversarialism. We do it nicely. We tell people to go to hell and make them look forward to the trip. Now, if you're going to learn, because what AI does is it takes the knowledge of everybody in this room who uses AI and puts into that common generative platform, and AI synthesizes and gives it to us in a specific context. But it misses out certain things, and I'm not going to those. Those are the stories, what you hear. I've run out of time, but I'm not going to do that. Basically, its knowledge is not shared, it's not owned, it's relationship, it's ethics, the whole thing. And that is the learning that you need if you're going to be in this profession. So, my concluding thoughts. If you want to have the edge, my challenge now, I'm almost 30 years at the bar, my challenge is, can I be replaced by AI? I always ask the question. Recently, we concluded a very interesting agreement from the companies from India called Reliance. Complex. Whether we could replace it with AI, the clauses we did, the agreements we did to understand the business model, to superimpose the business model with the legal risks and implications, we still felt satisfied that AI could not replace us. We had the edge. But for how long? The Google chief economist once said, point of singularity, that is when the human brain and the AI brain or the computer brain becomes equal, is 2030. That's just 4 years away. Right now, lots of the work that we do can be done by AI. So I will leave you this thought with you. This conference got you to change, hopefully, the way you see how you gain knowledge, not to be limited to the very limited seniors, but to see the whole profession as a knowledge base from you can extract and mentorship in motion. Not only helping each other, but also mentoring each other. So AI may know every case ever reported, but it doesn't know how it feels to stand up alone in a crowded court. That courage, that judgment, that quiet word from a senior after you sit down, that still comes only from human mentors. AI can tell you what the law says. Your peers and seniors teach you what the law does to real people. Until an algorithm can read a judge's silence, calm a terrified client, or save a junior from self-destruction in a reply, it is not replacing the mentoring that makes a good lawyer, especially a good courtroom lawyer. So I sincerely hope that you will use AI to assist you and to make you better at whatever hell you are doing. Thank you very much, and all the best.
So I've been under strict instructions from the committee chairman that I have to wind up. So I will wind up. But remember, today the spotlight was on us. Tomorrow, the spotlight is on you. You will go to court, you will represent clients, and you will, remember, make use of the tools that you have, but at the end of the day, it is up to you to know how to use AI. So for all of the panelists, on behalf of all of the panelists, I wish to thank the committee for organizing this session, and I think it was productive. So one question just to check whether we got the message across. Will AI replace lawyers? What do you say? Come on, I thought you say no. Come on guys, say no. Okay. So remember, the ball is in your courts now. With that, I hand it over to the organizing committee, because after we conclude, we are going into the meta session.
Thank you, Sehan. And that concludes the 6th session for the day. I would like to call upon the President of the Bar Association, Mr. Rajiv Amrasuri, now on stage. in order to hand over tokens of appreciation for our esteemed panel, who have tirelessly, amidst their busy schedule, been here to enlighten you and illuminate you with their expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, can we now give a round of applause, first of all, to our panel of experts, and I call upon the President of the Bar Association on stage now. Ladies and gentlemen, tokens of appreciation will now be handed over to His Lordship Justice Nawas, Judge of the Supreme Court. Mr. Treshrex Melkwa. Mr. Pranav Srivastava from the IBA. Mr. Harsha Fernando, President's Counsel. And of course to our moderator, Mr. Sehan Souza. Thank you, sir. And that concludes our session for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Our esteemed panel can take their seats. Thank you.
So now, let us look at a AI developer's perspective. The organizing committee went out of their way to ensure that all of us would understand the future. And to describe the future, Senra from Meta. Senra, there is no pressure on you, but there is pressure. So we are hoping to see what Meta is going to do for all of us. Senra, over to you.
For the whole of the Asia Pacific. And Dr. Shah also was the former Pakistan's telecom and has a wide experience working across the world as part of the ITU. And he's also an academic who's taught in many universities across the world. And when I invited Ismail to join this session, he willingly obliged. And being a Sunday, I'm really thankful to him for joining us. So, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank Tisha and Ruan and the Junior Bar Committee for the very kind invitation to have Meta at this session. So I understand that we are short of time, so we will keep this short. So first of all, Meta is, as you know, on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Threads, and Messenger, being most of the apps that all of those in this room would be using. And at the same time, as a technology company, as we've evolved, we have moved on to build the next generation of the information communication technology. I'm going to share my screen now so that we have a small presentation on what the AI roadmap looks like for Meta. Can you all see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Senula, we can.
Okay, great. So just to give you a perspective as to how this AI technology has been growing over the last 70 years, you can see through this graph. So the y-axis points to the capacity of the compute power that has been used over time. And you can see the spike that has come across post 2020. And this is extremely significant as to why companies like Meta continues to invest on great compute capacity. Compute capacity means the infrastructure, the hardware that is required to build this next generation frontier technologies.
Taduna, can you go on slideshow? Put it on slideshow. Oh yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. So if you, I'll just go over it again. You can see the spike in the how companies are investing to build that next generation of technology and the investments they've done to improve that compute capacity. So you could see the vision games, the drawing language capacity that we have built. And this is not only Meta, there's a group of companies which have continuing to invest to build these things. And at the same time, you see governments building their own infrastructure to build their own sovereign models to be able to leverage the technologies that these companies are building so that they could drive economic growth and efficiency within these countries. So as for Meta, given that we have 3.5 billion users that use our apps daily, it made sense for us to build our own AI infrastructure from about 10 years ago, because this helped us with our content moderation, how content recommendations are done for our Facebook and Instagram, and various other content moderation tactics that we had to use were built through that, because there is so much human capacity that you can bring in when you're dealing with nearly half the world being online at the same time, and to manage those expectations. So, and the AI technology is not something that has come on off a whim. There is serious science behind it. So there's a serious research component. Now, Meta has its own FAIR, Fundamentals of AI Research Lab, which is based out of Paris and New York, where we have like serious scientists who are researching into the most important aspects and developing the architecture of these technologies. We also have founded the AI Alliance across the world along with IBM, which where Sri Lanka also can join to be part of this coalition that is thinking through the most important issues with respect to these technologies and how we can share resources and support each other as these technologies become real, available, and are used across the world. We also have now more than 200 languages that Meta's open source models that support across the world. So when I go on to my next slide, I will talk about those technologies that the main technology that we have built. And also to talk about how we have used how we have built that core infrastructure over the last few years, which had been scaled exponentially. So you can see by about 2022, we had about 6,000 GPU clusters, and which grew to about 24,000 clusters by 2023, and by 2024, it's quite significant. And that is only the physical infrastructure. So on top of that is the software, and top of that is the Llama, which is the main engine that has been built by Meta, which has over 1 billion downloads now. So why Llama is important is that Llama is a large language model. So it's basically the engine that any AI application that you're using is using, and this is Meta's engine. So ChatGPT would have its own engine, Gemini would have its own engine, or their own engine. And So the large language model of Meta is known as Llama, and this is an open source model. So basically, anyone can download it and use it uh, by training it in whatever data sets you have, and use it, customize it for a particular purpose. So most recently, like we saw the Kazakhstan's government download this. They got compute capacity, and they trained the Kazakh large language model. So they used about 150 billion tokens. And what it means is now Kazakhstan can build um, any applications on top of that, which services clients in their own language. And Meta does not have access to any of this once you download it and you build your own model. It's your own sovereign model. So we have open sourced it, whereas ChatGPT has not open sourced it, nor has Gemini open sourced it. So, but DeepSeek, the Chinese model, which is open source now. So, so based on that, you would see on when you're using WhatsApp on your search bar, you will see something called Meta AI, and you can use that just like how you use any other GPT function, where you would ask questions. You can use it to write out an email, write out a document, and my colleague Ismail will take you through 2 case studies next on how you can use these technologies more effectively. So this does not mean that this is any kind of substitution of, like, your like the human capacity or your skill in any way. It is only to augment your performance and for you to use these agents successfully to make yourself more efficient, make you concentrate and do focus on the most important things that you have to do. This is not in any way a substitution of you. So with that, I will just pass on to Ismail to take you through the next stage of this presentation. Ismail, over to you.
Thank you. So you want me to share my screen?
I can, yeah,
Okay.
that'd be better.
Okay. So first of all, thank you very much, everyone, especially the organizers. I'm really honored to be talking to you today. And I'm really thankful to my colleague Sanura, who asked me to do this for you. Just to, as Sanura mentioned, I was the chairman of the Pakistan Telecom Authority, and I visited Sri Lanka, and I still cannot forget the hospitality that was extended to me. And I have still many of the friendships from that time and many friends from Sri Lanka. So really appreciate this opportunity. So just to recap, artificial intelligence is a generic name, and then we have these different models. So for example, Sanura mentioned ChatGPT. The model that Meta is developing are called Llama or large language model. Actually, all of these models that exist today, they are actually large language models, but ours is also called large language model. And there are mainly two use cases at this point in time, the way technology is at this point. One is the classic, which actually means that it can analyze large amount of data and predict what content can be useful for people. The other is generative. Generative means that it can create new text based on what you are asking it for, and I'll show that an example of that. You can also generate images and videos. They are probably not that much relevant to you, but I'll just show you one example of that in case you have an interest in that. And as we are moving into the future, we'll see that there will be more developments. They are already happening in research stage and some deployments. They would be like some kind of reasoning and also becoming more personalized and make you super intelligent. Right now, as Senura pointed out, the tools that you have at present, they can assist you in whatever work you are trying to do. So let me directly take you to an example where we have this business, for example, that we would like that there is a Sri Lankan company who have these biscuits. They want to export that to India. And we have a few of some of the details available of that. These are the states that we would like to target: Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and all these are the significant market. And these are the questions that a business would have. For example, if you want to sell it in Tamil Nadu, what would be the required regulatory approvals? What kind of tariff would be applicable? What are the tax liabilities? So you can actually use Meta AI, and the way to use Meta AI is that, and if all of you have this computer with you, or you have any other device, you can actually go to meta.ai, and you can see something like this when you go there, meta.ai. So you will see here. So this is basically where you ask meta.ai anything. So this will call our large language model, and whatever question you ask, it can answer those questions for you. It can also, as mentioned here, it can create a video, it can create also a new text for you or new image for you. You can also attach a file, and if you want it to be analyzed, that can be done. So I'll show you those examples. So let's go back to this presentation that we had. So here we ran the model for you already. So what we did was that we generated a key prompt. We asked actually Meta AI, how should I ask you this question? So we gave all these information to the Meta AI by just simply copying and pasting it there. And then we asked Meta AI. So when we are asking Meta AI, that particular action is called prompting. So you may hear this word prompt engineering, which basically means what is the best way to ask all these artificial intelligence algorithms or utilities like ChatGPT, Meta AI, how to ask it a question. So you can actually give all the information and also ask for a best way to put this information to the Meta AI. So the response that we got based on these questions, all these things that you see in here, and you can try it out at home because we can share these prompts with you. So just to brief you again, we gave it the background information, and then we asked it, how can I ask you a question which is in a way that is understandable by AI. We are asking, generate the key prompts to get the best results. So it gave me these answers. These are the prompts that it developed. So he said the first prompt is, what are the required regulatory approvals? Then it has all the other details, and there is a prompt about the question, there is a prompt about the tax liability, food safety, and any other relevant information. And then what we did was that we used these prompts to get all that information. So for example, let me just try it in front of you so that you know what we did. So this is what we did. So we copy this, and we are providing the background information here to Meta AI. And then we are asking it to develop a prompt. So this is the second step, generating a prompt. So we ask it to generate the prompt, and it gave me, you see, all these questions. So now I'm going to ask these questions one by one. Since we are short of time, so what we did was that we already have these questions for you that we asked the Meta AI, and it gave us all the information that we wanted. So we asked all these questions, and based on that information, then we asked it, gave it all that information that we got, and we said that imagine you to be a lawyer in Sri Lanka and draft a 2-page note using the above information. So the information that we got from on those 8 prompts, we gave that as input and asked it to draft a letter. And this is the, the response that we got. And you can look at it in detail, but actually it's basically a very well written draft. The only thing it requires is that for you to check it and see if there is any inconsistency, because sometimes the AI can also give you wrong answers. So one advice from my side to you would be, you can use AI, but always read the output, and especially before submission, you should read it thoroughly. And if there is any reference provided, please check that reference also thoroughly. So that was example number 1. In second example that is more relevant to you, so there is a special determination of the Honorable Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, and it is about Sri Lanka Telecommunication Amendment Bill. So as I said, you can always go to Meta AI and ask simple prompts. So for example, summarize the document. What are the implications of the bill? What are the implications for the local bill for companies like Meta and Google? What are the implications for local telcos? Or you can ask Meta AI to help you design these kind of prompts. So you can either do it yourself, have a well thought out prompt, or ask Meta AI, give these basic prompts, and then ask it to develop a prompt for you. So let me share with you the results that we got based on that. So see here, the first thing that I did was that Sanura provided me with that document. So I attached that document here by using this prompt here. Let me show you what to use, Meta. So what you use is that you use this plus sign to attach any document that you want. So you attach that document. So then I attached that document and I asked it to summarize the attached document. So it gave me a summary of the attached document. As you can see, this is determination by the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, and it examined this and all that. And then I asked it, what are the implications for companies like Google? So it gave me the implications. These are the regulatory compliance, infrastructure, consumer protection. Then I asked for the implication for the telcos, the telecom companies, and then it gave me that information. So telecom companies. And then what are the implications for telecom companies? So these are the implications for the telecom companies. Then I said I wanted to give it a comprehensive prompt. So I say, I want to have this information. I'm a policy person, so I gave it my background. Can you design a suitable prompt so that I can have the best answers from Meta AI? So the Meta AI itself gave me the prompt that these are the questions that you need to ask me. So then I asked those questions, and if I ask those questions, then it will give me a response on that. So you just copy this and paste it here, and then it will respond to all these questions. So, and I'll get a comprehensive response on that. So it will take some time to process. I'll come back to this. Just one last thing that I wanted to show you was for example, generating pictures. So I asked it to generate a photo depicting Pakistan and Sri Lanka teams playing cricket. So it gave me different options, like you can see. Then I asked it to generate a picture of a sunny day in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So it gave me all these options that I can choose from. And you can also ask it to generate a video for you. So let me go back to the work that we were doing. So see here, it gave me, let's see, yeah. Yes. That was the biscuit one, this one. Yeah, so it gave me all the answers based on that. So yeah, so these are the additional prompt. Then I asked it to I use that additional prompts, and then I got these answers. And then you can always ask subsequent questions. So for example, if something is not clear, I can ask it how can you give me more information about increased competition? So you can always ask a question about the whatever result has been produced, and you can chat with it, and you can get the more explanation of each one of these aspects of the answer, and you can ask new questions also. So you can ask it like, for example, is this determination you know, final, or I mean, would there be something else after it? So any question that you comes to your mind, so you can ask these questions on that. So I'll stop here, and I think Sanura, we have a few minutes if there are any questions. But I think the best thing that I would suggest to you is please remember this meta.ai and go attach documents that are not, confidential, and also try out different prompts, which are actually how you communicate with this Meta AI to respond to your questions. Play around with it, generate different videos, generate different pictures, and then slowly and gradually you will get comfortable with using it, and it will turn out to be one of your best assistants who will never get tired of you asking it questions or giving it more assignments. Thank you. Sanura, any questions or comments?
I have a question. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Harsha Fernando. I'm a lawyer. I was also on the panel. So the question to you is, I use AI a lot in my work, and I do work where there has to be a lot of crunching of data, a lot of documents to be verified. And I would feed in about 80 documents just trying to find 3 points. But my problem is I spend an equal amount of time verifying the answers I get. I subscribe to a number of platforms, certainly not yet to Meta AI. But the question is, at what point will your LLM models be able to give us the assurance that you're ready to take on the liability for any wrongful communication that you have provided based on a prompt given to you?
Yes, so actually, you can also ask it to restrict the answer to the document that you are providing and not consult any other source. So that gives it more predictability in finding the answer. And also you can say, give me the reference of the document that you have this answer from, which document and which page number. And actually, I'm aware of some other tool also which also does the same. Like it provides you with a reference from, if you give it like, as you said, 70 documents and ask it to summarize or find a specific thing, then it finds that for you and also give you a reference from which document it got that information and on which page number. And you can go directly to that place. So and if you want something which is deterministic, rather than giving it a general statement, you be more specific in your prompts and also attach documents and ask it to only search those documents. Were you doing this, or you were just asking it to find anything from the internet?
No, I mean, as lawyers, we are in the business of ensuring accuracy.
Yes.
Accuracy is our currency. I still don't have the confidence, even if you get me, you might get the reference to me when I say you, the LLM, you'll get the reference to me, but if I want an exact opinion or a generated idea about something, still the LLM is not taking responsibility. I mean, we had 2 cases that his lordship in the morning mentioned to us where the lawyers were found fault for using AI-generated information in a courthouse. So my question to you was, at what point will the AI companies take responsibility and hold them legally accountable for the information that you generate? Are we there yet?
No, I think we are probably not. And I think in this particular case, what will happen in that I see is that there will be more specialized AI for a particular kind of work. And actually things are moving towards that. So there are AI specialists that we have, which only looks at that aspect. So they are going to get better. But at the same time, as was pointed out by Sanura, and I also mentioned it again, is that it's not a replacement for you. So you have to give it a final reading and check for accuracy. That's why I said, but if it refers to a document, please check that information is indeed there. So it's getting better. Like for example, this year is better than the last year. Next year is going to be better than this. But at any given time, we cannot even guarantee the same for the humans that they will get the right response or the right argument unless it is documented and you can find it in a reference. At this point in time, my suggestion to you would be to make it more deterministic. Like deterministic, I mean that only ask it to look at documents that you are sure about and ask it for the page number and documents from where it got that idea.
Thank you.
Harshad, I just want to chime in and give you a different perspective. The answer is no. And I'll be very upfront about it because these technologies are very early stage. If the technology is able to do that, then it is very likely, in my personal opinion, that it has reached the super intelligence stage where the model is able to provide that level of output. So right now, these technologies are not there. None of the technologies are there yet.
At this point, I'm even in my main area of expertise from the technical point of view, beside regulation, is, for example, wireless communication. So I use it sometimes, the Meta AI, to find information about wireless communication. And then I narrow it down through specific questions. But it all depends on the prompt. And secondly, the information I have to kind of double check. Because I know the field, so I even ask it that I think this information that you have provided doesn't seem to be correct. So, it can make mistakes, and it actually says that it can make mistakes. So you are the ultimate person who use it. Like, for example, you need to if your human assistant, for example, give you something, a draft, and you just submit it as it is, and it has something which is not correct, you are actually responsible for that. So same goes with AI.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to extend our appreciation towards Mr. Senura Abewardana and to his team for being present here today virtually and for enlightening our audience on a different aspect of artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the formal conclusion of the 6th session and the final session of the Junior National Law Conference 2025. We would like to name our patron partner for this session, Tiruchalan Associates, for being present with us throughout this journey and for making this session a success. We will be now moving to our closing ceremony shortly. But first of all, we would like to thank our sponsors, without whom this conference would not be possible. I now invite First Capital to be present here before the audience for a very short presentation.
All right, guys, till the presentation comes up, let me do this session real quick. I'll not spend a lot of time here because I've been having a request to keep it really short. So let me introduce myself. I'm Rahul Samarakon. I'm a fund manager at First Capital. So talking about investing, guys, first thing is I'm not going to make this another session where I bore you with what to invest in, how to invest in. I'm sure most of you guys are already investors. If not, you would have had many sessions done by people about basically investing and how to investing and all that. So what I'll do is, I'll run this real quick. So let's not look at the first few slides. What I'll show you today is a bit of an ideology that I thought I'll share with you. Is usually for non-finance professionals, what happens is the first thing when they think about investing, it's about finding, irrespective of where we are in the interest rate environment, they're locking in an FD, whether it's 5 years, 6 years, doesn't matter, whether it's 12, 12 and a half, doesn't matter. They lock in an investment, an FD rather, and just tick the box saying, awesome, I've done my investing. Or else, what they do is, they hear people talking about the stock market, and they'll think, oh my goodness, stock market is doing amazing, let me also join the party, and they'll invest about 10 to 20% of their portfolio, funds that they have essentially, in some share, and tick the box once again saying, look here, I've made my investments. So what I'll do is, let's not do the same mistake. Rather, let's not complicate it too much either. Because the capital markets offer you different products. There are government securities, there are basically equities, corporate debt, commercial papers, FDs, so on and so forth. What we'll do is, I thought I'll just sell the perspective. If we don't have the time to invest, and if we are having certain potholes in our knowledge in terms of how to invest and understanding all of these products, why don't we do something? We bring our funds, all the funds, the portfolio that you have, and you invest in a unit trust fund. You basically create your portfolio using unit trust funds, right? First of all, what you do is you understand what's your risk profile. You understand, I can take maybe about 30% in equity. This depends on the person, by the way. I'm just showing a very sample example. You take about a 30% allocation, 30% of your funds going into equity. And then you understand, I need to keep some money liquid so that I can access it anytime I want. So let's say that's 30%. And then the remaining, you don't want to go into equity, neither do you want to keep it liquid so you can take your money anytime you want. So that money is something we can lock in, maybe in the usual FDs or so that we invest it. But then again, whether you're going for a FD, what tenor you're going in terms of the FD, depends on where you are in the interest rate cycle, right? So in this example, what I've done is a very simple one, considering the low interest rate environment we are in right now. We go 30% in a liquid in the money market fund. That gives us about 8%. You can take your money out anytime you want, which I think is pretty attractive. And then you come into something like a fixed income fund. Usually in the market, fixed income funds give you about 9 to 10% return. Those are very short term. You come in, stay for 6 months or so. You put 40% there. And then equity, since it's performing quite well, equity gives you, for the 30% you allocate into equity, it gives you about 40%. So what happens, end of the day, you have created your own portfolio just using unit trust funds, which are managed by people who know the job and who have to do that job because that's their job every single day. You make a weighted average, I don't know if you can see it at the bottom, it's about 19.53. So what happens is, this is in the low interest rate environment I'm talking. If you go into an interest rate environment where the interest rates are high, what changes, maybe rather than going into a fixed income fund, you can go into something like a wealth fund, which can give you like these, we call it capital gains in the fixed income market, that you can get returns of about plus 50%. And then on equity, because we are in a high interest rate environment, the corporate earnings might not be as attractive, so the returns might be coming down to 20. But still, overall, your weighted average return you make, your basically average return you make on your portfolio will always be more than your usual investing option where you think, let me lock my money for 5 years in FD or something of that sort. So this is just what something I want to highlight to you guys. I know there's not a lot of time. I hope you got something out of it. The whole idea that I wanted to maybe share with you guys is, wherever you invest, wherever the mutual funds that you use, whatever company it is, if you don't have the time and the knowledge to spend on it, use the portfolio and create a portfolio, basically construct a portfolio just using your unit trust funds. So that's it. Thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you very much to First Capital. We will now have a very short recorded message from Mr. Ryu Ishida, the Vice Chair of the Emerging Lawyers Committee of Law Asia.
Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to speak at the Junior National Law Conference. It is an honor to join you virtually from Japan. I serve as a Vice Chair of the Emerging Lawyers Committee of Law Asia, and I would like to share the excitement of participating in international conferences like Law Asia, and encourage all of you to take part in such opportunities. And especially, I want to warmly invite you to join us at next year's annual conference in Seoul, South Korea. Law Asia, which stands for the Law Association for Asia and the Pacific, is a regional association of lawyers, judges, and legal organizations across more than 40 jurisdictions. For over 50 years, it has promoted cross-border exchange of legal knowledge, served as a voice for the legal profession, and supported the rule of law, professional integrity, and human rights. Law Asia's annual conference is its flagship event. Each year, it brings together bar leaders, judges, academics, and practitioners to discuss developments in a wide range of legal topics such as judicial practice, human rights, cross-border business law, and dispute resolution. The venue rotates annually, and recent conferences have been hosted in Bengaluru, India in 2023, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in 2024, and Hanoi, Vietnam in 2025, which was held just last month. Each conference attracts anywhere from around 300 delegates in quieter years to over 1,000 in larger years, and offering a unique opportunities to engage with legal professionals from across the region. Over several days, the conference features more than 30 panels and numerous opportunities to network. As Vice Chair of the Emerging Lawyers Committee, I personally help connect young participants. I normally make unofficial WhatsApp groups personally and invite young participants to evening meetups, parties, and dinners, where deeper friendships are formed. This relationship also leads to unexpected opportunities. At the 2025 conference in Hanoi, held just last month, I met a young Sri Lanka lawyer during a social event. We spent time exploring the city together, and that friendship directly led to the opportunity for me to speak at this very session today. If you attend a future conference, I strongly encourage you to apply through the call for speakers. Law Asia invites speakers' applications around every May, and anyone may put themselves forward. Delivering a short talk, say 10 to 15 minutes on a topic you know is far less daunting than it seems, and having a speaker role gives you visibility, deepens your engagement, and makes the conference far more rewarding. And you get a discount as well. Speaking from personal experience, I have been selected as a speaker multiple times since my 3rd year of practice, and I strongly encourage you to apply even if it will be your first time attending. Please do not hesitate. This connects to this conference theme, raising the bar. Part of raising the bar is being a good mentee and seeking mentors across the jurisdictions. Conferences like Law Asia create opportunities for organic mentorships simply by sharing your own experiences. Through such relationship, we collectively strengthen our profession. I encourage all of you to join Law Asia, attend its annual conference, and engage with the Emerging Lawyers Committee. Travel, meet peers from across the region, and share your stories. Through these interactions, you will grow professionally and build friendship that lasts a lifetime. Thank you for your attention. I hope to see many of you at future Law Asia events, including next year's annual conference, which will be held in Seoul, South Korea from 14 to 16 September 2026. I warmly encourage all of you to join us there. Thank you very much.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. In true Jamia fashion, I'm going to make this speech really fast, so I hope you catch on. We have officially reached the end of the Junior National Law Conference 2025. First off, congratulations on making it to the final session. Given last night's festivities, I think you all deserve a round of applause simply for waking up before noon. Organizing a conference for over 360 delegates is no small feat, especially when it involves the legal fraternity. Even with just a few months at the bar, you know how wide and wild the areas of this profession can be. Curating a program that's catered to both litigators and those in the corporate sector while juggling the logistical gymnastics of housing everyone across 3 hotels and hunting down sponsorships in a corporate climate that wasn't exactly cheering us on was quite the task. But here we are at JNLC 2025. The reason this was possible is because of many forces, individuals, institutions, and supporters who brought this conference to life. So let me get straight to the reason I'm here before you, to express my gratitude to those many forces, some who may not be present here, but who need to be acknowledged. To our panelists and distinguished guests, including their Lordships of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, the Honorable Attorney General and the Solicitor General, a heartfelt thank you for your time, expertise, and for supporting the next generation of the profession. To the President of the Bar Association, Mr. Rajiv Amasurya, thank you for your leadership and guidance in bringing this conference to life, and the reality checks you had to give us every now and then. To the Secretary, Mr. Chatura Galhena, the Assistant Secretary, Mr. Sarinda Jayavardhan, the Treasurer, Mr. Pasinda Silva, and the staff at the BSL Secretariat, especially Mr. Malinga and Ms. Saumya, thank you for tolerating and obliging the countless requests that came your way. To our vendors who met impossible deadlines and still exceeded expectations, thank you for your cooperation. To the staff of Jetwing Blue, Beach and Sea, thank you for accommodating our endless requests. And to those who supported us here in the ballroom, your kindness and efficiency have been invaluable. The delusional me hopes this kindness of Jetwing Hotels will extend to a full waiver of our remaining bills at the checkout. To our sponsors, without whom this event simply would not have been possible, thank you for your generosity and your belief in the objectives of this conference. That includes our main sponsor, Homelands, education partner, Appit, platform partner, Pickney, event partner, Eventuro, associate sponsors, Team Squad and LTL Holdings, supporting sponsors, Haley's and First Capital, and all our well-wishers and patron partners. Thank you. To the seniors of the profession, thank you for your guidance and support and your contributions, and for lifting our spirits, quite literally. To Mr. Veragoda and Mr. Shashibhu Jayasekara, thank you for your steady guidance and help in navigating in difficult moments during this conference's preparations. To the committee, for the sleepless nights, the endless meetings, the phone calls, the back and forth decisions, and the memories we created through it all. Thank you for giving everything you had. And finally, to our delegates, thank you for your participation and for making the most of the resources, knowledge, and opportunities we worked so hard to present to you. We hope this conference has inspired you, equipped you, and empowered you with the confidence, insight, and network to raise the bar. Thank you, everyone. Also, an announcement: you are requested to report to your allocated hotels and immediately check out, and then go to the respective restaurants for your lunch. Thank you very much, everyone.